Don, I wonder what goes through your mind when you're here on this land 15 years later after the start of BC.
Absolute pride. I remember the night before we came in 15 years ago, I was taking a bath and I was so overwhelmed with the thoughts of what's going to happen. Anything could happen. With what happened with Dudley George, I was very, very worried about something happening to somebody who followed me in here. And that was the biggest thing that weighed on my mind. And what my friend told me was, he said, it's not all yours. You don't get to carry all of that. When the men and women stand up for the land, they're doing it for the seven faces to come. They're carrying that burden too. You don't, it's not yours to carry all your own. And for 15 years, the men and women of Turtle Island have held on to Godestado and brought it into 1492 land back. Not only do we hold this now, but we also hold land back as well. And the momentum is spreading, the awareness is spreading, and it started with a bunch of women getting around, just sitting around talking. And I think it's absolutely amazing to see that our dreams and wishes and aspirations not only came true, but they belong to a whole network of people who intend to carry on long after I'm not here.
Skyler, when you hear Don talk about that weight, as the public face of Land Back Lane, do you identify with that feeling?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. Yeah, no, that certainly rings true for all of us. I mean, like, it doesn't matter what you know, the burden of, you know, of that friendship, of the family that gets created around this stuff is, it's a real thing, you know, like these are our brothers and sisters, our aunties and uncles, our, you know, grandmothers and grandfathers that, you know, like this is what that means for us. And so to see any harm come to anybody, it's certainly a weight.
Were you able to draw any inspiration from people like Don, James Jameson, who were here before?
It's literally like, I mean, between Don and Janie and Dick, Hazel, like these people have, you know, been gracious enough and kind enough to sit with me for untold hours and you know, tell me all the stories and tell me all the good, the bad, and the ugly. You know, like it's because there's lots to all of this, and so there's lots of moving parts all the time, and so to be able to do all the things that we need to do, whether that's on the ground, making sure people are fed and warm, and I mean, like we came in here and I mean, I was a week late getting here. I didn't get here till, you know, the first week in March at Ganastado, and yeah, and it was cold. It was a cold winter that year, and like, yeah, and there was some cold nights around the fire, and so yeah, there was lots of our people that, you know, showed up really big for us then, much the same today, and so it's pretty amazing feeling.
Does the climate feel any different in town? The attitude surrounding what's happening now than it did 15 years ago?
Yes, very much so. 15 years ago, I don't think there was as much education and awareness as to who our people are and why we have claim to this. And it's nice to see that 15 years later, there are so many more people in the surrounding areas that are saying, no, you need to listen to these people. 15 years later, we're still in the same position. And what has our government done to help these people? And hearing those questions being asked before there's any police escalation to where they come in and try and drive us out or anything like that. To hear those questions being asked and being asked over and over again, to where they're not going to let it drop now. that means a lot too. That was not the way it was 15 years ago. 15 years ago, we had the Blazer Trail through Caledonia.
15 years ago, we had Gary McHale and Doug Flemings of the world, you know, organizing big rallies against us. You know, we had the Aryan Brotherhood folks. We had like all the big far right folks coming out in droves to come and try and push us off the land for what the OPP couldn't do. And so yeah, to see this time around, like the food that we just got done eating was made by a woman that was, like, I can see her house from the camp over at Lambeth. So I mean, like that bit of that is it's amazing. Like, and you know, I commend, you know, Don and Janie and Hazel for being the spokespersons for Ganastado last time, and like it was amazing to have them be able to do that education bit then, so that we don't have to now. And so it's.
And do you think you're kind of building on what they established and
on.
learning from?
We stand on the shoulders of these guys. I mean,
right. But I'm sure, Don, there are some things that, looking back, went well, and some things that could have been done differently. And I wonder if now, that collectively, you've learned from that experience.
To be quite honest with you, when we started 15 years ago, the steps that we took and the decisions that were made, it felt like, not, of course they were ours, but knowing that we had help behind us that we couldn't see, you could feel it. It was as though every step that we made could not be the wrong one. So as far as to say, of course there's always things you can learn. They told it on April 19th, they had a meeting with our chiefs and clan mothers, the Confederacy, the elected council, and told them, no, we will not come in without notice. Within 6 hours, they were raiding. So to learn from those mistakes, yes. But as far as getting awareness out there and everything, every step that you make, you have help behind you. And as long as you follow your heart and your soul, and you work for the 7 faces to come, there can't be any mistakes.
What do you both feel when you look at this land we're on now, 15 years later?
Beauty.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a beautiful thing, you know, and just be able to see our people come together the way that they did, you know, 15 years ago. Like that was awesome. That was, you know, I think sent a real statement throughout our community, throughout, you know, across all of Turtle Island. Like it's like when we're able to stand together, there's nothing that we can't do.
Exactly.
And I mean, also though, there's a bit of frustration there, because after, you know, 15 years here, the Ontario government still seems to feel like they hold some kind of sway, because they hold the deed to the land here at Ganastado, as opposed to turning it over to, you know, the Confederacy Council or the Six Nations community as a whole, or the and so it's the same frustration that I'm dealing with, trying to get, you know, the federal government, the provincial government to come and sit at the table with, you know, with either elected council or Confederacy Council or community, like to get them to get here and show face, to make some kind of lasting change that isn't going to, you know, see us out here in the middle of February sleeping in tents and tiny houses and what have you. Like, that's ridiculous, to be able to keep on perpetuating that same thing over and over again, that we're somehow, you know, not worthy of these lands that are, you know, our ancestors fought and died for these lands. You know, like every square inch of this reserve is paid for in the blood, sweat, and tears of our ancestors. And who would we be to, you know, spit on those graves of those people that came before us by letting that go covered in concrete and asphalt?
Skyler, Don, thank you very much.